Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I give you Dr. Sonny Primo.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you are so kind. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's greatly appreciated. Yes, I thank you. I am Dr. Sonny Primo, and I want to just thank you for tuning in. We're just going to have a little bit of a discussion today. I just want to share my feelings, because not just my feelings, but just how I feel about this great country of ours. You know, this country has been an awesome place to live in. And I'm going to tell you right now that there is no greater country in this world. Many times that we have been told by the media that how bad this country is, and well, let me tell you something. This country is not as bad as other countries that I've seen. You know, I've had the opportunity to travel outside the United States. And let me tell you something. We have it good here. Even the poorest of the poor here have it better than a lot of countries around this great world. Now you can throw a fit and get mad and everything else. But I'm going to tell you, there is nothing greater than this country. You know, in the first 10 amendments of our Constitution afford us great liberties. Liberties that are not seen anywhere else. The First Amendment. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. You know, there comes a time that we, as the people of this great nation, need to stand up and put out this redress of grievances. Let them know how unhappy we are. This is one of those times. The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. You know, there's a comma there, and it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. When a government tries to take and disarm their people, look, watch that government, because they're going to do some terrible things. We've seen it throughout history. Amendment 3, it says, no soldier shall, in a time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. In other words, they cannot house soldiers in your house without your consent. Amendment 4 tells us that the right of the people to secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. They can't come in and just search your property just because they want to. They can't search your car without probable cause. Amendment 6, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. That means you have the right for an attorney. I forgot Amendment 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in land or naval forces or in the militia, when actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of his life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. You cannot testify against yourself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. In Amendment 7, it says, in suits in common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of a trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. Amendment 8, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Amendment 9, these are all guaranteed to you as a citizen of the United States. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And Amendment 10, closing out your Bill of Rights, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. In other words, the United States government cannot infringe on your power that they have not been delegated. My goodness. You know, I am reminded of a time when John Wayne was around, and he had this to say about this great country, and I'm going to let him do it.
The Doodletown Pike, Nelson.
American opportunity has no limits, has been known to knock more than once. How about you very young people who see a tough life ahead? Well, when Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox, Booker T. Washington was a 9-year-old slave. Yet by the time he was 28, he became president of Tuskegee Institute. And at 8 months, Neil Armstrong took his first small baby step toward mankind and fell flat on his face. At 6 years old, Mickey Mantle was settling for a base on balls. At 7, Wilt Chamberlain nailed a practice hoop over his garage without a ladder. And at 8, Charles Lindbergh was flying a kite, wondering how it'd feel to be up that high. At 9, Burt Bacharach was thinking the piano lessons would never end. How many of you are pushing 50 and complaining that the country is going to hell? Crispus Attucks was in his 40s when he died on State Street in Boston, fighting for the freedom that we share. And John F. Kennedy was 44 when he asked not what his country could do for him, but what he could do for his country. And how many of you over 65 are just settling down now to rest after a busy life? Well, a fellow by the name of Eisenhower, who had already lived one lifetime as a soldier, was reelected to the presidency when he was 67 years young. Well, by now I've made my point, or I never will. Oh, there's one other thing. Every man and woman or child I've ever known, met, seen, or heard of wants one thing more than anything else in the world. That one thing is tomorrow. Tomorrow, that's the only thing any of us have going for us. And I believe this: if tomorrow all of us, every single one of us, gets out of bed and says, this is my country and I'm going to do good for it, we'll make the greatest step forward since a pilgrim's foot found Plymouth Rock. Tomorrow, remember, this is my country and I'm going to do good for it. Just might work. We'll never know unless we give it a fair try. Oh yeah, and there's one other thing I'll say tomorrow, because I say it every day of my life. God bless America.
Land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairie,
to the ocean, wide with love.
God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night.
With the light from above,
From the mountains
to the prairies,
to the ocean,
White with foam.
God bless America.
My home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
Yes, my home sweet home too. I am thankful that I have this great country to live in. Many people out there feel like they have been abused by this country. Well, I can't say that I know what you're talking about, because that hasn't happened to me. Now, back in 1983, December of 1983, I took an oath, signed into the military, the Illinois Army National Guard. But let me tell you, it was still the military, ready at a moment's notice to defend this country, to go to war if need be, to step in a time of natural disaster. or at any other time. And I must tell you, the oath that I took, this is what it sounded like. I, Ron Primo, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Now, did you notice in there that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic? Domestic. That means right here on our own soil. Enemies within our presence. You know, that oath also said that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States. Well, I can tell you right now that when the President of the United States becomes a domestic enemy to the people and to the Constitution of the United States, I am not required to follow those orders. Because they have become an enemy, and I must, by all means, defend the Constitution of the United States against those enemies. And I'm telling you, it has happened. And it's happening right now. Our wonderful Constitution is being attacked, being pushed aside by an enemy with a pen and an executive order. He's trying to go around our Constitution. Now, I would do this against any president, not just the current administration. There are some things that were illegally done by most, if not all, of the presidents of the United States within the 20th and 21st century. It's appalling to me that they think that they can circumvent the Constitution and the people of the United States and think that they are above the law. Currently, we have an election coming up next year, in 2016. And among all of the candidates that are currently running, how many think that they can circumvent the law, commit atrocities against this country, and yet become the leader of this great country? Years ago, this country was in a was still upheld throughout the world as one of the greatest countries in the world. We were respected. We were our leader had the respect of leaders around the world. Some good, some bad. But not everybody upheld our views. Nobody liked us in certain places. But there were things that we still did, that we accomplished, that could not be done by anybody else. So why in the world would we give up that respect? Why do we continually bow down to those countries that would just as soon kill us as they would look at us, that would shake our hand by day but stab us in the back at night? Why would we put up with this? Ladies and gentlemen, our leaders in Washington, D.C. today are spineless, backstabbing. They are out for their own interest. They are not interested in the people of the United States. And I'm telling you, it's time for America to wake up. It's time that we stood up and let our voices be known. Get the message that we will not take it anymore. The corruption that runs rampant in our government system is crazy. It's out of control. You know, it's interesting that in my home state of Illinois, the politicians are more corrupt than the criminals. And rather give up the things that they cherish in order to help our state out. They want to vote themselves raises. The United States government wants to, every time something happens, oh, Social Security's not going to be paid. We're not going to pay Social Security. It's running out of money. Oh, we need to do something. We can't do anything. Well, you could. You could. Why not stop your pay for a while? Stop taking out of the trust fund that was set up that Social Security was. It was a trust fund. And in the early 60s and late 70s, they decided, oh, well, they voted themselves to be able to, quote, end quote, borrow from that trust fund. But nobody ever puts any of that money back. They just keep taking and taking and taking for all their pet projects. It's time for restructure. And I encourage you, let your voice be heard. Now, many of you say, we've been given the right to vote. We can vote. I encourage you to vote. Well, my vote don't matter. Well, I'm sorry, but it does. And if you choose not to vote, then you voted. You voted for whoever gets in there. It's up to us to take it back. The greatest country in the world is being brought to its knees from the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, if these refugees from Syria are allowed to come over here, let me assure you that they are not just Syrian refugees. It's a disguise to play on the hearts and the minds of the American people so that we will welcome them in. I don't mind helping people out. But when these people come over here, and they will, they're going to be allowed to, and they're going to start a bunch of crap. We can see it happening in Europe, all over Europe, where these refugees have been allowed to come. They are causing problems. They are stirring up trouble. And they plan on taking over. So don't tell me I have something to worry about, or I have nothing to worry about, when in all reality, I do. I just wanted to get on this little soapbox just to talk about it, because I needed to talk about it. We live in the greatest country in the world, and it's time for the people of this country to stand up and be heard, and to allow ourselves to be in control of this nation rather than corrupt politicians. It's time to stand up. Stand up and shout, just like you would have done anytime something comes along. And let me tell you something, all these little things that are happening in the media, you know, all this on behind the scenes is far more worse than you could ever imagine. I'm Dr. Sonny Primo, and I want to thank you all for just taking the time to listen. All right, I've had my own rant. I'm done. God bless.